folks. I'm back with another Destiny 2 video. Not talking about anything specifically in the game. We did the exotic quests. It was bad. I talked about that. I wanted to discuss something that I see making its way around the community, which is an Aztecross video from a little while ago about the, quote, 2 paths forward for Destiny. That's not the video was called, but he's talking about like the player count lows and stuff like that. The 2 ways forward, he says, are Destiny 3 and Destiny Classic. And I am going to read a little bit of what he says from a Game Post article. So it's an article about a video, so this is the way the world works now. Okay. So he says, I have been sitting down and contemplating over the past 48 hours on what can be done. There's only 2 routes you can go, but neither one of them are easy. Matter of fact, they're both going to be hell, but it's better than the alternative, which is everything just dying. I do think we're sort of on the way to everything just dying. I think unless the portal is completely ripped out and they get at least enough resources to go back to what they were doing, I don't see how this regains any significant player count at all. So I do agree with that. He says, you've got to do a D3. That's many years out and the expectations will be so high. And if you fuck it up, done. There's no coming back from that. You cannot have a D2 vanilla launch for D3. It cannot happen. As you may recall, the D2 vanilla launch was less than good. The initial campaign, Red War, was actually kind of good, but like the whole setup of how it works, that was back when we had static rolls on everything and there was no real loot chase or pretty much no endgame. And then we had Curse of Osiris shortly after. It was people view this like with nostalgia to a certain extent, but it was pretty bad for the initial run there, and launching with something like that would be bad. But as he notes, Destiny 3 is many years out. They're not working on Destiny 3. Like, that's not a thing that's happening right now unless it's in like the bare concept stages, but I don't think they're in a position to really even plan that far out. Bungie has been cut in half since Destiny 2 was made easily, and that was back when the entire studio pretty much was working on that alone. Now they have a couple hundred people on Marathon, and the surviving people are doing whatever they can to put out some sort of content in Destiny, and it is what we got. Everything is shrunken down significantly, and it's pretty clear that they just can't do what they were doing with the big expansions and seasons or episodes, and so this is where we are. The problem with the D3 is, like, I think that is the only thing that can turn things around and revitalize the series. I don't think anything else can. There's not going to be one of these small expansions that's really going to be like, oh, you got to tune in for this specific week and run this expansion, and that's it. The problem is it's almost impossible, and it is not easy or really possible to plan that far ahead for Bungie at this point. You would have to start working on a Destiny 3 right now to get it out within 4 or 5 years, given the scale of how games are made, and especially something like Destiny, which is significantly big. And then you got to map out a new roadmap for post-launch content there. Bungie's not remotely in a position to do that, nor does Sony seem like they're about to inject Bungie with loads of resources and cash in order to scale up where they would need to do something like that. I don't think Marathon is going to do well overall. I maintain that. So if that's true, we have a couple hundred people, I can go back to Destiny. More than likely, you have a lot of layoffs. And the worse things get with Destiny and these declines happen, the result is not going to be just pour more money into Bungie. It's going to be either more layoffs or more absorption of people into Sony. Maybe can do some smaller scale Destiny spin-off experiments. That's like the best case scenario. And the concept of a Destiny 3 is in theory like the right answer, but it does not seem actually possible. Like, the other part of this is like Sony's not just going to be like, okay, yeah, take a break from live content for 5 years in order to have all hands on deck to make Destiny 3. That's not going to happen. Like, I wish it would happen. I wish all of this would happen, but not going to happen. The second idea Cross proposes here is Destiny Classic. And this is similar to what old school RuneScape did. And he says everything that was ever updated in old school RuneScape had in-game polls, and it was completely community driven. I think a Destiny Classic would be pretty good if it was done right. I would play it. Okay, this one's just impossible. Like, I'm not, I think there's something to be said about bits and pieces of like the best content of Destiny coming back from D1 to D2. Like, Destiny 1 is, quote, Destiny would be part of Destiny Classic. I mean, it's like the most classic Destiny, even though, again, I think people have rose-colored goggles about that, and Destiny 2 is almost better in every way, despite the current situation, at least in, the past few years it was. There's a difference between old school RuneScape, which is ancient at this point, and if you've seen RuneScape, it's a little bit different than Destiny. And it's very clear at this point that Bungie can't just pick and choose which stuff to bring back. Like, all of this, like, things were vaulted for a reason, because they had to slim down the size of the game, but also they would have had to rebuild literally everything with these engine updates, and going back and redoing a bunch of stuff would not be a good use of resources, if it's even possible at all. Like, you might remember that news from the court case where there wasn't even where the guy said they ripped off Red War. There's not even a functional build of Red War that exists anymore. And like, God only help us if this was driven by community polls. Like, imagine how that would go with this community. Oh man, there'd be like a civil war every other week about what should be added. And like, Bungie can't just like be like, oh, okay, like the poll says, bring back Leviathan. Like, okay, see you in 2 years. Like, it's, in a perfect world, this would be kind of a fun experiment. If you did do it, again, I think you're mostly just retaining nostalgic players. I don't think that builds out a new player base specifically, and I don't think this audience is the same as those who are jumping into classic RuneScape. Like, yeah, I'd play it. Like, Cross would play it. We're like we're the biggest, range of Destiny creators. I'm not big. I just mean like all the content creators are like the biggest players of the game, and the most dedicated to it, except for the ones that periodically leave. It's a nice thought, but like, there's no way this is even remotely possible. Like, from a technical standpoint, at the very least, Destiny 3 is possible for sure. They're just not going to do it. So that's all very doom and gloom, but I'm a realist, and I don't see a way forward that is not just this. The best thing I think they can do is rip out the portal. Well, if they don't rip out the portal, at least make it like a secondary function, and like crush this power gain system as endgame. And like, even if they can't go back to the way things were, just some echo of seasons or old expansions or something like that to make people want to log in more than like 3 times every 6 months. Again, I don't even know if that's possible. I do think there is enough hate for the portal that I think they're going to either remove it or just make really significant changes to it, way more than they've made right now. That's a story for another day. This week, or wait, today, it's Thursday, they're going to do a TWAB about big changes coming to the portal or whatever. But again, it's going to be like more loot, more power gains. I don't know what it will be past that. So I think those are interesting ideas from Cross, and like, I've talked about Destiny 3 a lot so far, but it's either not going to happen or it can't happen. So I we can debate all this and whether Destiny 3 would save the game or not. And yeah, I think it would be the thing that brings back players, that onboards new players. Cause like, 5 years is a long time. I mean, think back to the stuff that was coming out 5 years ago. That is like a pretty significant break of time for a series to take time off. But Bungie is not in a state where Sony is going to let this happen. And if they were independent, I don't think this would happen either, because in the past, we've heard insider reporting that if player counts kept dropping the way they were, like, Bungie wouldn't exist anymore. Like, that's what they said, and that's part of the reason they sold. Now, player counts are record low, so I'm sure Sony's not amused about that, but given what was going to happen after the final shape, this was always kind of unavoidable. I don't know when the cutoff death point might be. It may never die. I've wondered sometimes about if they'd ever pull a division and like just sort of repeat old seasons and like just repeat old seasons with tier loot or something, or like armor perks or something. That might be a whole video. It would be kind of ridiculous. It would be sort of Destiny Classic. Not really, but no one would vote on things. But I'm curious if that could ever be something insane they would do. But maybe I'll do another video on that. But yeah. So anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you soon. Take care.